this thing working? Give me some sound over here.
Yeah.
The Out of Bounds Show is powered by the award-winning golf courses at Dancing Rabbit Golf Club in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
All right, the Out of Bounds Show. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. You can watch the show on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. And the show is brought to you by Boar's Head. It's game day. It's Boar's Head. Put together a game day platter, charcuterie board, premium meats and cheeses and hummus. You can find it with Boar's Head at your grocery store. Compromise elsewhere. The Out of Bounds Show game day is presented by Boar's Head. Our guests join us on the Miller Lite guest line. That's a good deal. Miller Lite and a charcuterie board loaded with Boar's Head meats and cheeses and hummus. That sounds like some college baseball right there. Next week, a big week as we get it kicked off, so to speak, in Dallas-Fort Worth with 6 fantastic teams loaded. All of them, you could argue, top 10. And Texas Tech, TCU, and Texas against MSU, Ole Miss, and Arkansas. So it's going to be exciting. Want to welcome in college baseball insider Teddy Cahill, baseballamerica.com. Teddy, good morning. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. It's hard to believe that we're that close to college baseball season in some respects, but we're ready to get it rolling. Absolutely.
I know you are. This state is chomping at the bit, man, with the with Bianco and Lamonis and the Rebs and the Dogs and their roster. All right. Well, so next week will be a lot of fun and exciting. It'll be a power-packed tournament. Let's start with Ole Miss. I mean, they bring everybody back as far as starting rotation with Nicest and Hoagland and Derek Diamond. Walk me through their starting rotation and how it stacks up against the other top 10 programs or so. Teddy?
Well, I think that it has the chance to be one of the best in the SEC and therefore in the country. You look at Nicest, he's just a proven winner at this point. You know, that's the kind of guy that you feel really comfortable running out there on a Friday night. He's not the most powerful pitcher that you'll find in the SEC, but he's a guy that played for the collegiate national team. He's done what he needs to do every step of the way on the diamond, and you feel great about that. Hoagland is the better draft prospect, throws a little bit harder, outstanding control still. Really excited about what he brings. It's a great 1-2 punch. And then what you saw from Derek Diamond last year was very encouraging. That's a guy that if he isn't hurt his senior year of high school, maybe he doesn't get to Ole Miss. They're certainly happy to have him. And while he hasn't faced SEC competition yet, I mean, when you look at the Sunday starters around the league, I think you're going to find that Diamond stacks up pretty well, at least in terms of stuff. And then we'll find out what he does, in the week-to-week grind of the SEC. But I feel really good about that group. And that's a big part of why, people are so excited about Ole Miss, just is that rotation and the pitching staff as a whole.
Yeah, Teddy Cahill and the baseballamerica.com team have Ole Miss as, when they're doing their NCAA tournament projections, they have Ole Miss as a number 4 national seed. And a lot of it is because of what Teddy just told us about the front line starting rotation pitching, which is so important and valuable to make it into a super, especially to host for that matter. Hey, you were talking about Nicest and kind of what he is stylistically. He's kind of a Greg Maddux at the college level. A little bit of that. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, certainly when you're talking about guys that aren't overpowering, that Greg Maddux is a name that people definitely steer towards. As a left-hander, that maybe wouldn't be. They're a little bit different in regards to that. But yeah, he's a guy that it's about commanding the zone. It's about setting up his off-speed pitches. But he can reach back and get the fastball there when he needs it. I mean, it's just a really steady guy. And he's been through it, and that's a guy that started on opening day a year ago. I mean, so even though he's still relatively experienced, I guess, just everyone is with 2020 having been a lost season in so many regards. He winds up being one of the more experienced pitchers in the conference, and that's a big asset to have for Mike Bianco.
Let's go to the batting order in the field. What jumps out at you as far as this Ole Miss roster?
Well, when you lose two guys like they did on the left side of the infield and Servideo and Keenan, the power that those guys showed, you start thinking like, well, what's Ole Miss going to do for power? But then you look at the rest of the lineup and there's power throughout the whole order still. And while, having a big bopper like Keenan in the middle is really nice, that doesn't mean that, that's the only way to generate that kind of power. And so they have it up and down the lineup. I really am excited to see what the freshman Jacob Gonzalez does at shortstop, taking over for Servideo. I'm really excited to see if Tim Elko can kind of put it together now in his fourth season with the Rebs. He'll move to third base. They have a lot of really nice pieces. I don't know that they're going to have the superstar that they had in a Servideo or in a Keenan, but I think that it's a deep group, and I think that some of those guys are going to emerge, especially now that they kind of have to outside the shadow of those two infielders who were so great for Ole Miss.
Teddy, Ole Miss, Bianco put Ole Miss on the map as far as baseball, and he's had a great, 20-year, really good, how about that, 20-year run. And Teddy Cahill, baseballamerica.com on the Miller Lite guest line, talking Ole Miss. But here, I've been doing this for 17 years, and we've had some great highs and then some tough lows for Ole Miss. And, man, some of our listeners have at times raised hell that, Bianco's never going to take them to the promised land, so to speak. As someone who doesn't have a dog in the hunt and can look at this objectively, how do you describe his run of they're a top 15 program and can be number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever, but he's only got one College World Series appearance in 21 years.
Yeah, it's a strange deal. And, you think about some of the disappointments at home, particularly in regionals over the years. It kind of, it's a strange situation, but I think that winning in the NCAA tournament is a really hard deal. And I think that you also have to recognize that, what he's done there in terms of building and developing the program to a point where it can be disappointed in the postseason is pretty significant. Postseason baseball is just a strange animal. And, I don't know if there's something in the way that Ole Miss is setting their teams up, if there's something in the way that, until they get over that hump, like they just can't, mentally do something. It's a strange situation, but, for somebody to have the success that he's had in that conference for as long as he's had it, which is, 2 decades now, that speaks volumes to me. And I think that he continues to do a really good job. They're recruiting really well. The talent is really high. And, I think that the level of that has kind of increased over the last few years even, or the last decade, let's say. Earlier in his tenure, maybe, when they were still building, it was still just kind of getting the roots in there. And now you're seeing more of the fruits of that labor. And hopefully that for the Rebs, that equals more College World Series appearances down the line.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's just extremely difficult in the postseason once you get into regionals and super regionals. It is a little bit of a head scratcher, but all in all, he's done a great job. All right, let's go to Mississippi State and Lamonas. And again, they'll all be together for this tournament next weekend that is just absolutely loaded in the new Texas Rangers ballpark, which is very, very exciting. Let's start with the starting rotation. And and take me through how this rotation stacks up with the other top 10 to 15 programs in the country.
Yeah, so you've got Christian McLeod, you've got Will Bednar, you've got Eric Sarantola, and those guys all have really powerful arms. So they all could be drafted in the top 2 rounds. All 3 of them could go higher than that. The upside is ridiculous in that rotation, and I think that if they hit their ceilings, if they all hit their ceilings, it's very likely one of the 2 best rotations in the country. Maybe Vanderbilt edges them just with the incredible duo of Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. But Mississippi State, the upside is as good as anyone, basically. They are completely unproven in SEC play. Combined, those 3 guys have made 13 starts in their college careers. I think that total, they have 5 innings to their name against SEC competition, though, and they're all from Sarantola. And some of that's just weird and goofy because last season got canceled and McLeod was hurt 2 years ago. But it's a different thing asking them to go out and face SEC competition week after week. I think they can handle it, but I do think that there are going to be some hiccups along the way. But by the end of the year, I would expect Mississippi State's rotation to be one of the best. Really excited to see what McLeod has. Excited to see what Bednar can do as a starter. And if Sarantola can harness his stuff, he may have the best pure arm of the group. If he can harness it, look out for everyone. It's a group that could be really special.
Are you high on Lemonis?
I really liked what he's been able to do so far. I liked what he did at Indiana. I think that he is a really good talent evaluator. He's a really good recruiter. That's what we saw at Louisville. He won at Indiana. He's winning at Mississippi State. I don't know what more, short of winning the national title that everyone in Starkville wants so bad, I don't know what more he could have done in the first couple of years. I think that's been very impressive. I think that the way they're recruiting is important because, those players were players he inherited. And, it's one thing to win with them. That's important. But you got to have new ones replacing the Jake Mangums of the world. And I think that they've done a pretty good job of that. And, when you just consistently are rolling out a top 10 team, it's hard not to be impressed.
Does Mississippi State have the nicest, coolest, best baseball stadium in the country, college?
Yeah, it's definitely the coolest. When I went there for the first time, the year that it opened, I guess I was 18, 19, whatever year that was. Years blend together now. I was blown away. You see the designs when they're announcing projects and think, okay, that looks really cool. Are they going to build it exactly like that? And what's it going to look like? Well, they build it exactly like the plan, and it's amazing. Every part of that ballpark, I love watching a game from. I think I've watched a game from pretty much everywhere you can there. The outfield, the behind the plate, in the building behind it. It's just an amazing thing, and there's nothing like it. There are great stadiums. Arkansas has a great stadium. LSU has a great stadium. Texas has a great stadium, but there's nothing like what they have there in Starkville right now. And it being so new and so fresh, everyone's just still so excited about it, and it's wonderful to see.
Teddy Cahill, baseballamerica.com. Rebs and Dogs getting after it. Well, not against each other, but against the Big 12 next weekend, opening up the Texas Rangers ballpark. 6 loaded teams that will all get their games in because of the ballpark being kind of indoor-outdoor, which is exciting too. So it doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees and snowing. They're going to play ball. Let's go to the lineup. Rowdy Jordan and Tanner Allen were not supposed to be on this roster. What do they bring to the table, and what else do you like about Lemonis's lineup?
I think having those 2 back is significant. Allen is at his best. You didn't see his best last year because he was injured, but at his best, that's the kind of guy that can anchor your lineup. He maybe doesn't have as much power as some guys in his position as a corner outfielder, but just a really consistent hitter. Rowdy Jordan just does so many things well. And those guys, and you can throw Josh Hatcher into the mix too, they've just seen a lot of college baseball. And, that experience I think is really going to be impactful for Mississippi State, especially as, they're adjusting to life without Westberg and Foscue up the middle. So I'm interested to see what things look like there. Scott Dubrel coming over as a grad transfer, interested to see how that works. I feel confident that, he's just a veteran hitter himself. Feel like that's going to translate pretty well to the SEC, and we'll see what Cameron James has at shortstop. But it's a good group. It's a deep group. It doesn't maybe have the explosiveness of a Westberg or a Foscue, at least right now, but that doesn't mean that guys can't emerge, especially again as they're thrust into a bigger role without those two guys around.
Teddy Cahill, college baseball, national college baseball insider on the Miller Lite guest line, talking Rebs and Dogs as we get after it next Friday in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Blake, we would like to drop some audio for Teddy Cahill. Teddy, someone on our station said this, and we've had a big time with this. Blake, if you would.
It is not super hard to get to Omaha.
I think a lot of people, including Jake Mangum, would argue otherwise. What are your thoughts when you hear that?
Yeah, I mean, it is very hard to get to Omaha. I mean, Jake made it look very easy, but it's a hard deal. If you look around the country, there are just so many schools that are trying really hard at baseball right now. There's just so much talent. I know that sometimes when you're a top level SEC program, it looks very easy because that becomes the expectation and you get home games along the way. But, if you just think back to 2016 when Mississippi State won the SEC, looked like one of the best teams in the country for much of the season. And then all of a sudden, here comes Arizona, one of the last teams into the field, if I'm recalling correctly, and wins a super regional in Starkville. That's just a reminder of what can happen. Baseball's a strange game, short series, and these are college players. They aren't, they're ups and downs, and you got to ride with it. And Mississippi State's made it look easy the last few years, but it is not.
Blake, one more time, that audio for Teddy Cahill and our listeners.
It is not super hard to get to Omaha.
Unbelievable. Out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone. He is Teddy Cahill, National College Baseball Insider, baseballamerica.com, joining us on the Miller Lite guest line. Yeah, Pac-12 pitching has ripped Mississippi State's heart out twice in the last 10 years, 2013 and 2016. Blake, you have a question for Teddy Cahill.
Yeah, you could even throw Oregon State the last couple of years in there.
Well,
so
there you go.
Shout out to the Pac-12. Can't do anything
No,
right.
we hate the Pac-12. All right.
So, Teddy,
ahead.
I know you're perfect with your field of 64 projections, and none of these will be wrong. But if one of your top 8 seeds was to not be a top 8 seed, and if one of your next 8 seeds was going to take the place of that top 8 seed, that national seed, who do you think would drop out of your top 8? I know you have Florida, UCLA, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Virginia, Vanderbilt, Louisville, and Mississippi State. Who of those would drop out, and who might step in?
Okay.
Well, picking a team to step in is a lot easier. I think Texas has the upside to step in. They're pretty young, but they're really talented. And look at LSU. They have an incredible rotation. We've been talking about how good the rotations are at Ole Miss and Mississippi State. If LSU puts some things together offensively, they're right there as well. So I guess I would maybe say Texas if we're making me pick, but I wouldn't be surprised about LSU dropping out. Mississippi State is 8, so I guess that's the easiest one to say. They, like I mentioned, the upside of the rotation is incredible. There is some question there, and if you're replacing the middle of your infield, there's some questions there as well. And then Louisville, again, at 7, kind of makes an easy case to fall out. They're replacing their entire rotation. I really like what they have in terms of guys to plug into those spots on Friday and Saturday night. I trust that, but it's going to be a new look. And, offensively, I love what the Cardinals have, but just with so much new on the pitching staff, I think it'll come together for them. But, if it didn't, I could see, Louisville falling out as well.
Ah, all right. Where are you next weekend, Teddy?
That's still TBD. My girlfriend, who is she's a doctor. She doesn't want me traveling too crazily early on until I can get a vaccine. So
okay.
We're trying to evaluate what next weekend's going to look like for me, which is a strange situation to be in for opening day. But there's plenty of great baseball around the country, and I'm looking forward to watching all of it that I can.
Oh, dude, we can't wait. Holy smokes. All right, I think we're both going to be, Blake and I are going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So looking forward to, if we do make it, I know Blake's going for sure, but if we do make it, checking out the Texas Rangers ballpark and all that talent there that weekend. Teddy, we'll do this several times throughout the season, man. Y'all keep up the good work at baseballamerica.com.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's great to be talking baseball again.
Thanks, buddy. See you, man. Teddy Cahill. baseballamerica.com, National College Baseball Insider, talking Ole Miss and Bianco and Hail State and Lamonas. Two loaded rosters. One is 4. They have one projected as the number 4 national seed, and that would be Ole Miss. And they have Mississippi State projected as the number 8 national seed. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready for sunshine, crawfish, cold beer, and Starkville and Oxford, college baseball. I'm ready. And I'm hoping that we bump this thing up attendance-wise. Goodness gracious, come on. Is there any way they'll bump it up during the season and get this thing up to 50%? I sure as hell hope so. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by the charbroiled oysters at Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar. Also, check out the fried catfish and the seafood gumbo. Pair it with a Coors Light at Drago's. Char-grilled, charbroiled, or raw. That's the better play, actually. Get a dozen raw and a dozen charbroiled oysters at Drago's for lunch or dinner in the right there on the Hilton Jackson property. And, of course, it's the only full-service Hilton in the area, and that's the place to stay and also get involved with your if you haven't signed up, go ahead and do it with Hilton Honors. I've been there for 10-plus years. Blakey Blakester, what's up?
It is not super hard to get to Omaha.
All right, so Teddy Cahill said, nah, wrong. It's extremely difficult to get through a regional and a super regional. And then baseball is real, real weird. The most talented team, it's not like football in college football where the most talented team wins, whatever it is, 87% of the time, 84, 83. Baseball, just a different deal. Hey, thanks for listening to the Out of Bounds Show on 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Ace Bolt and Screw, powered by DeWalt Tools, new retail location, Gluckstadt, Madison County, #1 fastener distributor in the Southeast, Ace Bolt and Screw. Powered by DeWalt Tools. Also presented by Went McGee, the Mortgage Man. MortgageManMS.com, Went McGee. The show is also presented by Madison Ridgeland Academy. If you're on the fence about your child's future, now is the time to call MRA and schedule a private tour of the school. 601-856-4455. Madison Ridgeland Academy. Call them today. 601-856-4455. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good day.